Greetings, fellow traditionalist Catholics. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. So, I want to talk about one story that did break out about a few weeks ago, and that would be President Donald Trump calling for a military intervention in Nigeria due to a number of Christians in Nigeria that are being persecuted and genocided. And I would say I do support the idea of the president of having to send the United States military into Nigeria to prevent this ongoing manslaughter of innocent Christians that are being perpetrated by radical Islamic terrorists in that African nation. So, as we already know, as far as I know, there's only like one Islamic terrorist group, that would be Boko Haram, but there could be more than one terrorist group in that one country. And I'll tell you why. Just about every anti-Christian bigoted government, including the anti-Christian bigoted organization, the United Nations, has not even once addressed this issue. So far, President Trump has been the only one that has addressed this issue, and I'm glad he is. And I would have to say, I would fully support the president of doing so if he really does move forward with this decision. Uh, One thing I forgot to mention in my last video about the calls for new crusades, I totally forgot to mention about the president mentioning military intervention in Nigeria to stop this ongoing persecuted genocide of Christians in Nigeria. The only person that didn't even bother to even address this ongoing persecution of Christians in Nigeria was anti-Pope Leo XIV. He didn't even bother to even mention even once. Instead, like I said previously, he rather focused on things that are non-existent, like climate change. And recently, as I found out, he had a number of transgender sodomites at the Vatican having dinner with them. So that proves one thing. Leo XIV is not a real Pope, and he's not a real Catholic. He's just a Vatican II heretical apostate anti-Pope, pretending to be the true vicar of Christ. So not only do I support the president's idea of military intervention, but I would also say that there also needs to be a crusade in Nigeria. And if I were the Pope myself, I would have definitely called for a crusade in Nigeria to put an end to this ongoing manslaughter of innocent Christians in Nigeria. And another thing is the president didn't mention about cutting off federal aid to Nigeria if the Nigerian government does not address this matter. And so far they have not. They basically allowed these Islamists, these radical extremist Islamists, to go out and slaughter innocent people following in the name of Christ. Following Christ in his name, I meant to say. So yes, I do support the president's decision on this matter. And if carried out, he has my full support. Yes, as I had said, I forgot to mention that there was ongoing persecution and genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And I stand behind the president on this, that there needs to be put an end to the radical paganism of Islam. It needs to come to an immediate stop, and it has to. And it's really horrific and saddening that no other nation has even bothered to address this. Like I said, just about every country is anti-Christian, and they're full of anti-Christian bigotry. This includes the United Nations, who hate Christians indeed. Why? Because we support one God. Well, not just support, but believe in one God and the Son of God. These governments think they are God, but they're not. And that's why they rather just ignore what's been going on in other parts of the world, especially in Nigeria. So if the president does decide on sending the military into Nigeria, he has my full support. And you know what? We need to put an end to the genocide, an actual genocide and persecution of Christians, because they're the ones that are being hunted down the most and killed. So again, if I were the Pope, I would have also called for a crusade and joined the president in a military intervention to put an end to these Islamists, Boko Haram, or other terrorist groups that are in Nigeria killing Christians just for having faith in Christ and not converting to Islam, which, of course, as many of us have said, Islam is not a real religion. It is nothing more than a satanic pagan religion that is willing to kill anybody for not converting to Islam and killing anybody that is not Muslim. That needs to be put to a stop, and it has to be taken care of now. So not only should there be a military intervention that was proposed by the president, but a crusade also in Nigeria. And as I said in my last video, calling for a crusade, there needs to be a world war crusade to put an end to Islam over the world. And if we don't wake up to this matter, we can lose not just the West, but the whole world, and perhaps without a doubt, lose the church to Islam. Because that is the whole point of Islam and the false prophet Muhammad, to conquer the world. Put the whole world under Islamic rule. That is their end game. And you know what? We're seeing it all over Europe, including the United States. And what's been going on in Nigeria is, to me, proof enough. But you know what? It's not just one African nation. You also got Somalia, another Muslim nation that's under the control of another terrorist group. I forget the name, Al-Shabaab, I think it's called, but it's like riddled with Somalian pirates that are no doubt Muslims themselves. And we're seeing a huge problem here in the United States when it comes to Islam. And we do have a large Somalian group in the state of Minnesota, and we can tell for a fact what faith they practice, and they don't even bother to assimilate nor adopt the culture of the United States, but want to force their way of life onto the rest of the United States, which we don't want. And that has to come to a stop. That's why I said in my last video, we need a crusade, a world war crusade, to put an end to Islam effective immediately. This includes putting an end to the persecution of Christians in Nigeria, and I still, like I said, stand behind the president on this. So we need to put an end to the persecution of Christians in Nigeria and all over the world. And we need to act fast. So you tell me what you think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell for future updates, and comment below and tell me what you think. All right then, so this takes care of this short video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care now, bye.